Hi everyone, Julie is here. I'm glad to see in my channel your today's evolution, and the theme of today's video will be Clonycavan Man. So let's begin. Recently, if you notice, and especially if you're interested in unofficial history, rather curious information and facts have emerged that everything presented differently than it really was. Today I'm going to devote you to mystical story about one of the swamp people found in Ireland. Let's think, is all this just another fake? Consider two versions of the development of events.
To begin with, let's get acquainted with the main concept, swamp man, or generally people, a fully or partially preserved human remains found in peat bogs in northern Europe, mainly in Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, Great Britain, Ireland, and Sweden. Unlike other ancient remains, the bodies of the marsh have preserved the skin and internal organs, so they are the most interesting objects for research, and hence viewed today. Clonycavan Man is a well-preserved Iron Age marsh body found at Clonycavan, Ballivor, County Meath, Ireland in March 2003. At the pit mining site, worker Jason was at his worker place in the cab of huge peat harvester. He closely watched the operation of the machine and suddenly noticed an unusual object ahead under the cuting mechanism. The worker immediately stopped the work of the combine and went out to examine the find. Two legs and a crumpled liver sack protruded from the turf. The operator of the pit mining machine reported the incident to his boss, who immediately dialed the phone number of the curator of the Irish National Museum, a well-known specialist in swamp mummies, M. Kelly. As a result, the analysis of the mummified corpse allowed scientists a lot of details about the king of the Celts. The find dates back to 200 BC. The Clonycavan Man was only 20 years old at the time of his death. Today, Clonycavan Man is a part of the exhibition at the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin.
Do you think it's normal to put the remains on a public display and not bury them? It's clear that it's a scientific interest and people driven primarily curiosity and desire to knowledge, but still have forgotten about humanism, turning this world into one big spectrum with monetary equivalent. That is how you understand is not clear to me, where researchers came to the conclusion that it was King of the Celts. To be frank, early similar finds from Denmark told us that scientists did not immediately think about conservation for safety, and the researchers carry out for the most part on old equipment that didn't take into account important things, which leads false interpretation, hypotheses, and legends. What moments confuse me in their unfoundedness? Yes, there is the following.
Conclusion that the swamp man was not of the heterosexual orientation. Well, how can this be determined by the remains? This rather suggests that the discussion of this topic is of an educational nature. They say this has always been the case. No one admits the idea that he could be a father with many children, a loving husband, an interesting person. Why? Scientists say that in humans, the upper layer of the skin contains protein, keratin, which tends to dissolve in the acidic chemical environment of a turf bog. Then what caused the bog man to be so well preserved? What is your version? I will, nevertheless, dwell on the fact that the unique chemical composition of the peat bogs essentially mummifies bodies. To be more precise, the sphagnum moss, which builds peat, remains in cold, acidic, and anoxic conditions, which immobilized the bacteria. Celt? King? Where is the evidence? But what about the whole ritual with pits, burial chambers, attributes of melee power such as weapons, trepanning, wild boar, mounts, ditches around, some rich inventory accompanying to another world? No, I'm not the ultimate truth. I'm just telling you that you need to include your critical thinking. It may or may not be so. I admit it though. The conviction that it was certain diseases that led to a decrease in bones and not the same decalcifications of the marsh environment where they become thin and soft. And perhaps the key to the find. It's interesting at what state the worker noticed the find. After having ridden over the still soft body or over the already hardened ones in contact with oxygen. Written in the articles, as you understand, it can be anything you like. This also raises another question: why the peat harvester did not grind the body into powder, and what prompted the swamp body to rise to the surface. Why do they think that a swamp man was injured from torture and bullying? After all, the mighty natural decomposition can be elementary from the body weight in the swamp. Swamp Man is dated to the Iron Age according to radiocarbon dating. It makes no sense to argue with official science, and we have no alternatives for research. Let's see what the official chronology of Ireland tells us about what happened. Develop agriculture. Construction of chamber tombs is underway. Weapons and the beginnings of a new society. However, we can conclude that it was attributed to the Iron Age only according to this method, and it's likely that it could also refer to, for example, when agriculture developed, since it has been said that the king was buried in a swamp. Maybe then the tombs were not built. As you understand, everything is not accurate, confused.
What moments can I not deny?
The reasons for his death have not been fully established, but some suggest that he was a ritual sacrifice of a certain type. His nipples and other parts of his body, consisting of fragile tissue, were missing, which could be the result of an injury. It has also led to at least one new theory about the meaning of nipples. In addition, the hill, which could possibly have been used for kingship ceremonies, was not far from the swamp where the Clonycavan Man was found, leading to further speculation about the body. So, what does the official history tell us? 5 centuries before the birth of Christ, the Celts came to Ireland and divided the Green Island into 150 states. The boundaries of the kingdoms were marked on the ground with stones or wooden stakes. There is a possibility that the remains of the kings also served as a kind of the border pillars for the Irish Celts. In Celtic beliefs, the goddess who personified the earth was opposed to the sun, which was a masculine principle. The king among people was considered the representative of the sun, its temporary earthly incarnation. The bottom line is that the king was supposedly the spouse of his country. In winter, when all the greenery was withered, the earth goddess became old and decrepit. She needed a new spouse, so that he would give her again youth, strength, and beauty. Therefore, the Celts killed the king and put a new one in his place. The ritual murder of the king probably did not happen every year. Perhaps regeneration of the earth goddess was accomplished with a certain periodicity. What remained of the former king after the end of the bloody ritual? The Celts drowned in swamps near the borders of their state. The bodies are placed on the borders immediately surrounding the royal land, or on the borders of the tribes to ensure a good harvest of corn and milk, at the same time giving the goddess her specific earthly form. And what about the theory of meaning of the nipples? There was a custom in Celtic society to kiss or suck on the ruler's nipples. This gesture expressed obedience and submission. Then the king was overthrown from the throne, his nipples were cut out. For example, I heard about legs, hands, fingers, earlobes, and genitals, but not about these parts of the body. Distinctive features. In particular, a hairstyle that was lifted in the hand with a hair gel, made from vegetable oil and pine resin. In addition, the remains of the scrunty tie were found. This may indicate trade between Ireland and southern Europe in the 4th and 3rd centuries BC, before Roman influence was exerted on the Celts of Iberia. It could also indicate that he was wealthy, as few others could buy imported cosmetics. The hairstyle may have been a way to make the man appear taller, as examination of his remains reveals that he was not tall. For some features of the appearance, the mummy was also nicknamed David Beckham. I think this comparison did not bring anything pleasant to the footballer. If he was famous, then he had enough free time to take care of his nails. Perhaps he was given a manicure or even a pedicure by a specially trained servant. Everything is possible in this life.
What version do you lean towards? Skeptical or not? What information have you think they feeding us? Anyway, be sure to filter incoming information. Explore. Well, I say so much, but you got a lot of stuff to talk about. Subscribe to my channel, mark the bell in order not to miss new release, and push the button if you like this video. See you in the next thematic video.